The book that I decided to read was We First: How Brands and Consumers Use Social Media to Build a Better World by Simon Mainwaring. Social media is used everywhere by businesses. And when I first started reading this book, I wanted to tackle on what it took to write a traditional press release versus a traditional tweet. And after reading this book, I learned that a lot of brick and mortar companies could use a whole nother traditional social conscious mindset.
And not just for sales increases, but for customer connections and relations. Most businesses today use social media as an outreach for consumers because it wasn't at their fingertips years ago. Therefore, companies from the 80s, 70s, or even earlier had to reconsider their social influence. Most companies had to jump on the social media train for brand awareness and engagement to build relationships from company to consumer.
This book really emphasized on capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system in which trade and industry are controlled by private owners for profit. Now, Mainwaring, like others, believe that profit is good, but it shouldn't be the only fuel for a business. He linked the Great Depression of the 1930s with the recession in the late 2000s with similar outcomes. And the strategy that he came up with is called We First. I connected this strategy with my client Unilever and its Real Beauty campaign by Dove. Upholding some sort of relationship with not just your consumers, but with society, and making it relatable to a lot of people is key to avoiding another financial meltdown. It is key to have a emotional connection as well. Mainwaring believed that businesses back in the 30s and the early 2000s failed to possess that link with businesses to consumers and fell drastically due to the strive of short-term financial gain. But when Dove was launched in 2005 for its Real Beauty campaign, it built that relationship outside of a traditional ad process. Fresh from out the recession and learning from other companies' mistakes, Dove focused on something other than a quick buck. It focused on social media, and it got some attention. It reached the 3% sale increase by the year of 2005 and 4.3 billion impressions after only its first month. And this goes to show that creating and maintaining a connection that is reliable between the public and the business can play a role in a long-term financial success.
In the book, there is a 4-stage model on social media that the thought leader Stephen Jackson calls the paradigm change process. This process characterizes the stages in which people identify, agree, and disagree, or come to the understanding of an idea. The book calls this cognitive dissonance, which refers to the mental process when people are faced with a two-sided issue. This process can lead someone into a totally new mindset.
For instance, stage 1 is when people first come into contact with an idea and recognize it as different from what they view as current. Bloomingdale's idea to wean New Yorkers off of sugary drinks was something new to everyone, and no one had thought about the idea so strongly yet. Stage 2 is when people reframe their conscious idea and connect it with their current views. So someone listening to and reading the obesity statistics and sugary sodas from Bloomingdale's may sit back and think about whether they should agree with the terms or disagree, or even figure out how they should feel about obesity. Stage 3 is when people experience cognitive dissonance between the new idea and the current view they hold, which creates a pressing desire to resolve it. With this case, after seeing all the ads for Are You Pouring on the Pounds campaign, and also hearing what the other beverage associations had to say in response to the allegations, one may feel as though they had to pick a side, and pick a side fast. And finally, stage 4 is when people either decide that they're going to agree and align with the behaviors, or completely reject it and retract to their original beliefs. This connects with PR because when you hear a story, you hear it fast, and you have the opportunity at the split side of a second to agree or disagree. In PR, new ideas are brought to the surface every day, along with the opinions of others. And it is up to the consumers and the viewers, and the people who it affects to take a stand and have a voice, and let their voice be known. You're either going to agree or disagree. Chapter 7 is all about establishing values and encouraging change. I related this to the Penn State fumbles case, because sexual harassment is never okay by any means. And the school did everything it had to do to reestablish those values and encourage the change possible in order to make the school a better place. In the book it says that CEOs and presidents should make more interactive videos, should make more public statements and blogs and on websites more to just improve that connectivity between its customers and audience. In this case, the audience were the students, parents, and staff affected by the issue. For instance, Penn State had to create an avenue to be more transparent for its audience, and with that, they created the Openness website. The Openness website was an open form of communication for various changes and to let people on campus and off what was going on and what they were dealing to handle the issue. Dr. Rodney A. Erickson, the president of Penn State, made 2 public statements to reinforce the values of the campus. Connecting most of this chapter with Penn State seemed to be a perfect fit on how they completely handled the issue via media and transformed the campus completely. In Chapter 5 in We First, it establishes the We First values, and those talk about how evenly prosperity should be distributed in a company via the management team. The first value is fairness and reward, meaning money, time, and effort on each employee. In the Apple iProblem case study, the issue was corporate responsibility, and they failed to realize the life-threatening conditions that the workers were in. And although Apple was not a part of Foxconn, the company Foxconn itself was still neglecting its employees, leaving them to only work for $178 a day. Another value I drew to the connection for the Apple company is accountability. Accountability, as written in the book, is having trust factors between brands and consumers. A key accountability is transparency. Because Apple was so very top secret about their gadgets, it was a complete shock when unethical conduct was discovered. Apple should have been honest, and they should have took place in action at the Foxconn factories. I would recommend this book to anyone who is choosing PR in their field and what they want to do. The entire book is centered around goals and values that companies have or should have to become sustainable in the market. Brick and mortar companies need to learn how to gain these values and understand the impact that social media has on society today. And this book really has taught me that consumers and brands need to work hand in hand, not only for the brand to establish it, but to reinforce it and for brands and consumers to work